to Barcelona, just one race left. If you've missed any of the opening four, well, where have you been? They've been four belters, and if you want to catch up, you can do. Just go to the FIM CEV Repsol website. We'll be able to see highlights of the race or rewatch the live coverage as well. You can also go to the MotoGP website as well, motogp.com, to catch up on all of the stuff that you might have missed. And whilst you're there as well, we'll obviously be back here in a week's time for the World Championship, the Catalan Grand Prix, in just a week's time. So you might as well bookmark it, because you might as well have a look whilst the Catalan Grand Prix gets underway. European Moto2 action is on the way next. This is what happened in the first race. It was red flagged after this incident from Leon August caused quite a bit of oil to be dropped from his Yamaha R6 machine. You might be able to see there it just spilling out of the right hand side. He actually continued after that and left quite the slick around the track, so we had a bit of a delay. We got it cleaned up and then we got it underway once again for an 11-lap dash. Edgar Pons from pole position, his 7th in a row. Absolutely mastered the start, and he had done 20 minutes earlier. And despite a little bit of pressure from Yari Montoya and Nicky Tooley, in the end, it was a masterclass from the former Moto2 European champion. Hector Garzo had to come through from the second row of the grid, but did so with comfort in the end. He was put under pressure from a whole host of guys, but was able to hold off. Meanwhile, behind, Alessandro Zacconi eventually had quite a crash at turn 10, and we hope he's going to be able to take his place on the second row of the grid. But it was a couple of incidents getting sideways into turn 1 whilst he was fighting for 4th place. It was the fight for seconds with Hector Garzo just holding off Montoya, but it was all about this man, Edgar Pons, easing to victory. A superb ride from the 23-year-old, and now the question is, can he do it all over again from pole position? Conditions are perfect for the final race of the day at Barcelona. It's the European Moto2 Championship to round us off here. 17 laps for them. We only got 11 in the opening race of the day, but hopefully we'll get the full 17 this time around. 6 left corners right, 8 right-handers here in Barcelona. Passing opportunities absolutely everywhere, as we've seen in the opening 4 races. I'm trying to think if we've seen a corner that we haven't seen a pass at yet, and I don't think we have. Maybe the last corner is one that someone hasn't been able to edge through yet, but there's time yet. My name is Jack Appleyard. We've been with you all day. Alongside me is Elliot York, and hopefully this can round off what has been a superb day.
It's been a cracking day of racing, yeah, and yeah, I agree. Hopefully it can live up to the rest of the races we've seen. Hopefully, for the race's sake, the likes of Montoya and Tooley and Garzo and Zacconi can keep tabs with Edgar Pons, because that man on your screen really did turn up the wick in the latter half of the first race and cruised to victory to extend his championship lead as he rolls into P1 for the second time today. Can he pick up his second victory of the day? We will shortly find out with the 17-lap race for these Moto2 European Championship riders.
It was comfortable in the end for Edgar Pons. He was making it interesting up to half race distance, but then pulled the pin and edged clear up to 4 seconds. I think in the end he came across the line 3 seconds in front of Hector Garzo in second, but he backed off by the time we got on to the closing laps of the race. The interesting thing will be is he had it pretty easy in race 1, all thanks to a superb start off the line. If anybody can get in front of him, just get in his way, just disrupt his rhythm, I have a feeling it might go in a different direction, but we'll have to wait and see. It's been almost a perfect start to the season so far for the championship leader. He hasn't been off the podium just yet. Second and a third place finish at the opening round at Estoril. Backed that up with a race win at Valencia, and then obviously that race win earlier on today here in Barcelona. Alongside him is the Italian Yari Montoya. Picked up his first podium of the season in race 1, looking to do the same again in race 2.
Yeah, he's in prime position to be the man to launch off pole, to launch alongside pole, sorry, and get past Edgar Pons in turn 1. But like we saw in the 2 starts that they did this morning, due to the red flag, Pons has got that start absolutely nailed on the Calex machine. So can Yari Montoya, the number 55, get him into turn 1? That's going to be a big question mark, because they need to, like you say, Jack, duff Edgar Pons up a bit in the opening exchanges if they're going to have a chance if race 1 is anything to go by. And here we see third on the grid, Nicky Tooley.
He is one man that has been able to do that so far this season. He got the better of Edgar Pons in both races at Estoril, so he has got potential to do it. He just got a little bit caught up in the battle for 4th place during race 1 with Alessandro Zacconi, the number 61, which you can see over his left-hand shoulder. Great to see him take his place on the grid after a huge crash in the first race. But if he can escape clear of the gaggle of riders behind and go with the leading 2 or 3, then he has got the potential to ruffle a few feathers and possibly some Edgar Pons coloured feathers.
Yeah, I think Tooley could still be feeling some of the effects of his mishaps in Valencia. Not too sure on that, but usually we would see him fighting for the race victory, as we see Hector Garzo, who was fighting for the race victory for half of the race in race 1. Eventually, as you can see there, finished in 2nd, just ahead of 2nd on the grid, Jari Montoya. Garzo 3rd in the championship after that podium. His 2nd on the bounce after race 2 in Valencia.
Good rider is Hector Garzo. He's been a part of this European Moto2 Championship for a number of years now. 3rd in the championship last year. In 2017 he was 4th. Only 20 years of age, so he is a young talent. And I wouldn't be too surprised if we see him eventually make the move up to the World Championship. Although the real struggle for these guys in the European Moto2 class is the vast majority of the guys getting those Moto2 rides now are all coming through from the Moto3 class, whether it's the Junior World Championship, the European Talent Cup. It almost feels like these guys are just lacking an avenue to get back into the World Championship. Edgar Pons, who leads it, has had that avenue, but struggled to compete at the front, and then he comes back and challenges it straight at the front here. It almost, I wouldn't say tarnishes the rest of the grid, but with Edgar Pons having had that opportunity, I'm sure a number of teams will look at that and say, well, why is he going to go any better? But Garzo at 20 is certainly one worth looking at. Augusto Fernandez, the teammate to Lorenzo Baldassarri, is one man that was given an opportunity, having been in this class last year. And he's taken that with both hands. A couple of podiums already in the World Championship, so hopefully his exploits will allow a couple of opportunities to fly the way of some of the younger guys on the grid. Maybe even this man, 19 years of age, Tommaso Marcon, a podium so far this season, and he's backed it up with a 6th place in the earlier race. A good start to the number 10, making his 2nd year in the Moto2 class after winning Rookie of the Year at just 18 in 2018.
Yeah, he's another hot talent, is the Italian on the speed-up machine. Couldn't quite keep tabs on the battle for 3rd place and the podium positions in race 1, but he'll be hoping to go a little bit better in the 2nd race, as we see Andy Khalid. His 1st time on the grid, and 7th, cracking qualifying, and 12th, a more than respectable result for the Indonesian rider. Yeah,
Andy Jelang, just 21 years of age, as you can see there. He's first outing in the European Moto class this season, because he's really been focusing on the Asia Road Racing Supersport Championship, where riding a Honda, he's currently 2nd in that one after some good results at Sepang at the opening round of the year. But he's come across to partner Jerry Salim in the Astra Honda squad for this one. He's joined on row 3 of the grid by Danny Valle, another of the youngsters. Just 19 years of age is the Spaniard. There he is.
Yeah, some of you will recognise the name from last season's World Supersport 300. Won the last race in Magny-Cours there, where we saw Ana Carrasco become the first ever female motorcycle world champion. But yeah, Danny Valle, top 10, 1st of the year in race 1. Good result for the Spaniard, and he'll be aiming for at least another one in race 2, and I think he's in good stead to get that.
Joining him on row 3 of the grid is Marcel Brenner, who was the man who put the oil down at Valencia 5 weeks ago. I'm sure he won't want to be tarnished with that brush, but it was his machine that unfortunately spilled a little bit of fluid, which caused a red flag and a couple of the riders to go down. But there was none of that in the opening race. 13th for him, just a few points he's managed to collect, but I'm sure he'll be hoping from the 3rd row of the grid to push a little bit further forward than what we saw both in Estoril and in the opening race of the day for the Moto2 guys.
Yeah, he'll be wanting to push for a top 10. He's in the top 10 starting position in P9, so yeah, he'll be wanting to go a little bit better than he did in the first race. Conditions are perfect. The crowd are still here, ready for the last race of the day. Well, we've got the race 2 series of the European Talent Cup to come afterwards.
The last race that is offering meaningful European Championship points. Yeah. Matthias Magel, just 18 years of age, the German, obviously the Dynavolt Intact team, rather familiar and going brilliantly well in the World Championship at the moment. Both Thomas Luthi and Marcel Schrotter at the front week in, week out. Maybe that man, Matthias Magel, at just 18, will be the next man to move up to the Moto2 class, the young German.
And next on the grid, we will see one of race 1's stars, shall we say, the Thai rider Anupab Sarmoon, the VR46 Master Camp team rider. Here he is on your screen, the Thai rider, age 25. Look at that, cracking result in the first race. Did really, really well to keep tabs in, well, for most of the race on the battle for the podium positions with Thule and Zacconi before Zacconi crashed. Absolutely
tremendous ride from him. It's his debut year on the Moto2 in this European Championship. He's had experience in a 250 series at the Asia Road Racing Championship. Actually started the year on an R1 in the All Japan Championship, did the Thai rider, but now he's settled in to Moto2 duties. It's taken him a couple of rounds just to get used to the 600, but showing what he's all about in race 1, coming through from the 4th row of the grid to finish inside the top 5 in front of a handful of super talented riders, and he pushed Nicky Thule all the way as well, did Anupab Sarmoon. A great ride for him. So we're just a minute away. Here's the grid for the final race of the day, the European Moto2 Championship, with Edgar Pons on pole.
Yeah, Jari Montella line up second with Thule third, Hector Garzo 4th on row 2 with Alessandro Zacconi and Thomas Marcon joining him. Andy Falid, Danny Valle and Marcel Brenner complete row 3. On to row 4 then, Matthias Megel, Anub Samoon, Matteo Ciprietti on row 4, Adubs Noridin, Biesk Kerski, Jerry Salim, Ramadan Rosley, Kazmayuddin, Mikhail Pons are rows 5 and 6. Row 7 is Kemenith Kubo, Aslan Shah, Takeshi Ishizuka, Cedric Tange, Benny Solis and Pavalainen on row 8, with Joan Diaz, August and Zietti on row 9. Row 10 is Mario Gomez-Callo, Leon August, Livian Luchel, Heng Su and Philippe Lagallo round out your 32 riders for the second race here in Barcelona for your European Moto2 and European Super Stock riders.
No problems on the grid this time around. We saw the man on the back of the grid, Hunter Su, have a couple of issues in race 1, but he looks to be okay this time. Just wait for the green flag to be waved for these guys to go out onto their warm-up lap. When we talk about Anupab Sarmoon and the Valentino Rossi Master Camp, what an experience he had. He managed to go to the ranch in Tavuglia in Italy, got some training alongside Lorenzo Baldassarri. Who else was he alongside? Pecco Bagnaia, even Valentino Rossi himself out on the dirt tracking over at the ranch. They also went to Misano as well and got an opportunity to ride on the R6s alongside some of the Moto3 guys with, I think, Enea Bastianini might have been there, Andrea Mino as well. It is a wonderful opportunity for a couple of the guys from Southeast Asia. Another man, his teammate who was a part of that as well, was Kemin Kubo, who's the number 9 that you can be looking out for as well. He starts from row number 7 of the grid, but Sarmoon taking full advantage of all that training from some of the world's best and putting it into practice with a top 5 finish in race 1.
Yeah, absolutely. It's paying dividends for him, as we saw in race 1. It's a great thing set up by the VR46 guys, training with the likes of Bagnaia, Baldassarri and of course Valentino Rossi amongst others is obviously going to help you out somewhat.
Plus it's pretty cool as well.
And it's pretty cool, yeah.
The team is not affiliated with the Sky VR46 team that we see in the Moto3 and Moto2 World Championship. It is a separate team altogether, but obviously all under the VR46 banner. We've seen a couple of riders over the past few years in this Moto2 Championship, and then this year the opportunity goes the way of Sarmoon and Kemin Kubo. So here's the championship. In terms of Thule, Garzo and Zacconi, they all need to get the better of Edgar Pons in this one, because another race win for Pons will see him just edge further and further away, and with Aragon coming up and another 2 races there in a month's time, it could be edging towards being over before it's even started. Pons does look super dominant and super impressive at the moment.
Yeah, he really is the man to beat in this second race. If it's anything to go by the first race, we're going to see him with the pace. It's all about that first corner, like we've mentioned earlier. Can anyone get ahead of him? He's had 2 superb launches off the line so far, and we're about to find out if he can get a third, as the red flag at the front tells the riders not to go yet, as Montoya lines up in P2.
Tear off for Nicky Tooley as he gets focused to Finn. Great to see him back on the grid after what happened in Valencia, as it is Alessandro Zacconi as well. A big crash in race 1, but he's back on the grid in 5th place. He challenged for the podium first time around, as did Hector Garzo, the number 4 as well. A bit of a delay as we wait for the man at the front to move away. Green flag at the back though, so all eyes now on the lights. It's been 2 superb starts from Edgar Pons. Can it be third time a charm for the number 57? Out go the lights in Barcelona, and it is once again. What a start from Pons. He rockets away once again. He has got those starts absolutely down to a plumb, and nobody can go with him. The guys from the front row are left in his wake, Montoya and Tooley. Meanwhile, here comes Garzo from row number 2 to settle into 4th place. But again, what a start from Edgar Pons. He is lightning off from pole position.
Absolutely unreal. He's made up 3/10 already in the, just coming across the first section purely from his start. An unbelievable start. And that answers our question, can he get a superb start? Yes, he can, and he is now race leader. Can the others catch him up? It's Montoya leading the charge from Tooley. Your front row staying as it was on the line.
It's a sight that nobody wanted to see. Jari Montoya, Nicky Tooley, Hector Garzo behind. They didn't want to see the rear of that number 57 again, because it's all they've looked at all weekend long. No jump starts as well. So despite the great getaway, Pons has done it just through brilliance rather than taking a cheeky advantage off of anyone else. Slightly wide there is Nicky Tooley in the battle for 3rd place. Montoya is starting to close in on Edgar Pons, but it looks ominous at this early stage because Pons is into his rhythm super early.
Yeah, it really does look ominous. 0.5 seconds now the gap. Sector 2, he was a 10th quicker, so yeah, like you say, ominous is the word to use. But can Montoya, Tooley, Garzo, Zacconi, mark on, and the rest find the pace to keep up with him? We're not sure yet, but Montoya, is giving it a good go in second. 0.4 the gap, closing down slightly in that sector 3, but only less than a 10th.
So Pons that leads. Montoya there in 2nd, Tooley in 3rd. It's as we had it on the grid with Garzo in 4th and then Zacconi in 5th. Just starting to splinter is this group. There's no real packs together. Tooley does have Hector Garzo for company, but as he come across the line, just under half a second is Edgar Pons' advantage. Now the first flying lap, let's see what sort of a rhythm he has, and let's see if Jari Montoya has the pace to be able to close him in. Oh, big lunge up the inside from Hector Garzo. He does push Nicky Tooley wide, but the Finn just holds on to 3rd place at the moment, despite the pressure coming from the number 4. We got the better of him in the first race, did Hector Garzo, and he's looking pretty strong once again. He's the man on board with Tech 2 Moto2.
Yeah, speaking to Pons after his race 1 win, he said he just kept it steady after the red flags. Of course, there was oil down, just working out the track conditions, but there's no such problems now, so we can go for it from the start, and that's exactly what it looks like he's doing as the rest struggle to keep up with his gap. 0.5, not too much in that first sector, but it's going to be interesting to see what it is in the second sector.
Pushing hard already, backs it into turn 5, and then as he go through 6, 7, and then flick right for 8. He's absolutely perfect all the way around. Here is the man at his home track here in Barcelona. Came along to a private test for the Moto2 and Moto3 World Championship guys only a couple of weeks ago, and he was probably putting in more laps than anyone else. Oh, he gets it sideways into turn 10 though. Is that the mistake that allows everyone to close in on him? I think he's somehow managed to get it back to the curb. Meanwhile, it's a mistake for Hector Garzo as he dives under the inside of Tooley. Allows both him and Zacconi to dive straight back under the inside of him. But meanwhile at the front, despite getting it all sorts of wrong into turn 10, Edgar Pons, he's still 0.6 up the road. Yeah,
that was, I honestly thought he was at least running wide there. He's done so well to keep it at the apex. As Garzo backing it in, look at that. Nearly tucks the front. Does Tooley? Yeah, Tooley got the better of him on the exit. They nearly come into contact. Garzo getting a bit duffed up there after attempting a move. But yeah, Pons just keeping it together, running into turn 10 as we come into turn 1.
didn't give him much space, did Nicky Tooley then
Not
on the exit of turn 10. Meanwhile, Garzo has recomposed himself. He's got it back together and now back under the inside of Zacconi as he again sets his sights on the number 18 of Nicky Tooley in front of him, who, as you can see, is the fastest man on track. 0.4 is the advantage for Edgar Pons, so that mistake did cost him a little bit of time. But here comes Tooley. Now, when he's got the pace, he looks up the inside into turn 4 on Jari Montoya. No way through this time around, but here he is, wide around 4, on the run into 5. Again, the leg comes out, but again, Montoya holds strong. You're not allowing Pons to break clear at the rate he was doing in race number 1. It's staying under half a second. And looking at the split times, Montoya and Tooley are matching what we're seeing from the man in front.
Yeah, maybe he's doing what he said he was doing in the first race, just taking it steady in the first half of the lap and then pushing in the second half of the lap, but we'll wait and see. But yeah, I thought he got the launch, he's got the lead. I thought we'd sort of see him gradually edge that gap out, but it's remaining just at under half a second as Tooley gets it all squirrely into turn 10. He's going to make the move, not quite. Montoya shuts his door, get my words out, as yeah, Pons is half a second clear.
This being a much longer race than the 11-lap dash we saw in race 1 as well. Possibly tyre wear will come into it as well. He's got to manage the tyres during these opening laps, and he knows he's got the pace, so I don't think he'll want to be going hell for leather straight away. Just conserve a little bit of tyre life in the rear of that Kalex machine, so knowing he has got a little bit in reserve and he can push when he has to as we get into the latter stages. But at the moment, he's looking comfortable out front, half a second clear of Jari Montoya, who's going to come under pressure from 2 men. Nicky Tooley pulls out to the right-hand side, as does Hector Garzo as well, but just the one of them will move through. Tooley now up to second place, with Hector Garzo, the fastest man on track. He's just set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:45 dead. He's half a second quicker than the race leader, so if Garzo can manage to make his way through past Montoya and Tooley, then he definitely has the pace to challenge Pons.
Yeah, we saw this from Garzo, didn't we, in the first race, pushing hard in the opening stages, getting up to Pons, the race leader, and then just dropping back. So, like you've mentioned with tyre wear, it could be crucial in this longer second race. So let's hope Garzo isn't putting too much pressure into those tyres and they can last the full race. But yeah, nearly half a second quicker than your race leader. That's good going. As Tooley remains second, what's the gap? Yeah, it's just hovering over half a second. It's comfortable for Pons at the minute, shall we say? Half a second, he's not in danger of getting overtaken. He's not looking like he's going to make a mistake, so I think he's just controlling the race in these opening exchanges.
Zacconi's there in 5th as well. We can't rule him out. I'm not sure if we can call it a leading back gaggle of 5, as Hunter Sue, well, we mentioned on the grid, he had problems during race 1. He's got those same gremlins in race 2 as well, so a disappointing return to the Moto2 Championship for the Chinese rider. But at least he can comfort himself by watching one of his documentaries.
Absolutely, yeah. Not a day to forget on the track for the Chinese rider. Is Tooley just breaking Montoya? I think he's got a nearly 0.3 second gap to the rider in 3rd. So is Tooley making a break for it? Let's wait and see. What's the gap between your race leader and the man in 2nd? Tooley a 10th quicker on that lap than Pons, but like we've said, Pons half second clear, nearly 6/10 clear. He's just controlling the race at the moment, I think, as Garzo makes a move into turn 1 under Montoya. Good move from the number 4 rider.
He had to get that done nice and early because he saw Tooley going clear with Pons. He knows he's got the pace to go with them. I think Montoya, if anything, was just holding him up ever so slightly. When he had clear rein to go at, he was almost half a second, 0.6 of a second quicker than what he managed on that last lap. He just got held up by Montoya that time around, and you can see that during the opening 4 corners of this lap because he's already just starting to break clear of the number 55.
Yeah, agreed. I think it was important, like you say, for Garzo to make that move because Tooley was edging away from them. It was up to half a second. I don't think it looks like it's half a second now, but what's the lead for Pons? I think it's remaining a bit constant. And yeah, let's see what Garzo can do as he reels in Nicky Tooley for the battle for 2nd and 3rd. Zacconi just tagging onto the back of Montoya, keeping him honest. As I think, like you say, we've got a group of 4 riders there in the battle for 2nd, with Pons just a little bit further up the road.
And this is ominous, as we've already said. This time, even more so from Edgar Pons, because we're on to lap 5 of the race. And the Spaniard out front is starting to pull the pin, just like he did in race 1 earlier on today. It took him 4 or 5 laps just to test his surroundings, just to get comfortable, and then bang, he was straight into his rhythm. And this is some lap he's putting together, the number 57. He's pulled out a 10th in the first sector, 2 tenths in sector 2, another 10th in sector 3, and it looks like he's edged that even further in sector 4. As he comes across the line, surely it will be the fastest lap of the race. Yeah, it is. The first sub 1 minute 45 we've seen from him in this one, a 1 minute 44.971, half a second quicker than Tooley behind him, and now the gap is up to over a second.
Yeah, Garzo was at 45.0, so he was 4 tenths quicker than Tooley. So after getting past Montoya the previous lap, he has locked his sights into the FIM, and let's see how long it can take him to get by, because yeah, if Tooley can't run low 45s like Garzo is doing, then he's going to get by quickly. But yeah, Pons over a second clear now, so it looks like he is pulling the pin.
Which unfortunately is disappointing, because it means we're not going to get the almighty battle at the lead we've been treated to in the Junior World Championship and the European Talent Cup, or at least it seems so, unless Nicky Tooley and Hector Garzo can somehow start to reel him in. There's a long way to go, 12 laps remaining. He could come under a little bit of tyre problems, as we might have said earlier on as well, but the battle for second place looks to be pretty hot between Tooley and Garzo. But you just have to take your hat on to this man, lap in, lap out. He's so consistent. Oh, big mistake from Tooley. How wide is he there? Properly taking the car park route out of turn 9, but Garzo can't take advantage of it, or can he? Just for a second saw his front wheel just sneak into view, and I thought he was going to squeeze under the inside of Nicky Tooley, but no way through on this occasion. But that mistake again is just going to allow Pons to break even further clear. It's now way over 1.5 seconds. The former European Moto2 champion is romping this one at this early stage. Yeah, he is. Tooley looking a little bit out of sorts, obviously coming wide onto turn on onto the back straight. And let's see what his lap time is. I think it's going to be slower again. 44.8, new fastest lap for Pons. Tooley, yeah, 45.6 and 45.5 for Garzo and Monte. The quickest out of those three are 45.3. His personal best lap of the race. So who is that down? It's Danny Valle. He was going well, the young Spaniards. Just loses it on the edge of the track. That is disappointing. Yeah, pushed well wide, and then unfortunately the front just folding on. Zacconi there. He was on course for a best finish, but as you rightly say, back at the front, Elliot, Alessandro Zacconi, a costly error from the Italian means that he is out of podium contention now. Running wide at turns 1 and 2 means he's, way over 3-4 seconds adrift of the rear wheel of his compatriot Jari Montoya. And it's all closed up in the battle for second and third now. Edgar Pons might be clear at the front, but it looks like it's going to be a real ding-dong for second and third place. Yeah, it does, and Garzo's got the better of Tooley. Didn't take him long to pass the finish rider for second place. Now, I don't think he can bridge the gap, but can he keep it at a constant and stretch away from Tooley and Montoya? As Montoya looks behind him, there's no one there. Zacconi ran wide, so it's just you three in the battle for second. But yeah, Tooley, like we say, looking a bit ragged on the last couple of laps, and there's no surprise that Garzo has made his way through. Pons again, super impressive. Another fastest lap of the race last time around. Just under a 10th quicker than he had gone the lap previous. Now a 44.8, with the next best coming from Hector Garzo at a 49 flat. But the last time around, they're all in the mid-45s. He's way over 3/4 of a second quicker than anybody else on track, and he's not relenting his pace at the front. Is a number 57. Hector Garzo and Nicky Tooley trying the level best to match the pace that he's setting, but unfortunately he's just in a league of his own at the moment. Yeah, he is, and judging from the warm-up time this morning, he was, essentially a second clear of the rest, which was a little bit ominous coming into the day, but we hoped it wouldn't be that much of an advantage, and it's not 0.9 seconds a lap, but it is a considerable margin. Again, he was 3 tenths quicker than the guys chasing second that lap around, so it looks like Pons has got this race under control, but the battle for second still rages on. Garzo has certainly not got it all his own way, as Tooley is fighting back, coming down into turn 4. Is Tooley going to break the slipstream? No, he's not. He sticks behind him as Garzo and Tooley battle it out, with Montoya just dropping off a little bit. 0.5 seconds the gap for the Italian on the speed-up bike. Is he starting to struggle? I think he possibly is. Montoya, he just had a bit of a blip during the opening parts of this race, where both Tooley and Garzo were able to squeeze past him, and he managed to regroup, get onto the rear of it. But I think now that these guys in front are hitting their rhythm, he's just not able to match the pace, and as a result, it's not by a lot, but 10th a lap, 2/10 a lap. He's just slipping out of contention. But Tooley, meanwhile, is able to match the pace of Garzo. He's tucked in behind the rear wheel.
That was out of shape.
Sideways as he makes his way on the brakes in towards turn 10.
Yeah, properly out of shape there from Tooley, getting all sorts of crossed up into turn 10. And yeah, this battle looks like it's going to rage on, with Montoya just slipping half a second back. But let's see what his lap time is at the end of this lap. I think with we saw him turning around, so that obviously means he's conscious of who's behind him and not ahead of him. So I think he is just losing touch with this duo. And can Tooley get in the slipstream? I think he can, to make a move into turn 1. Let's find out as we see Pons at the bottom of the picture. Is Tooley going to make a move into turn 1? Who's going to be last? It is Tooley on the brakes, past Garzo. Nice clean move from the finish line. He's going to run wide slightly, but Garzo almost takes the same line as him as they switch left and then right into the long right-hander.
Perfect move here at Barcelona, executed by Nicky Tooley. Out to the bubble, on the brakes into turn 1. And ever so slightly wide, but the fact that you then flick left almost immediately does give you that little bit of room for error. That the fact that you do run wide, you are going to hold the line into the following left-hander. So he makes it stick in the move for second place. Meanwhile, out front, 3.2 seconds is the advantage for Edgar Pons now. He's had a bit of an error from Tooley. Looked to have just been ever so slightly wide into turn 5 there. Allows Garzo to close in onto the rear of the number 18. As he then flick left and right through turns 7 and 8, you'll see to get as close as they possibly can to the green stuff on the exit of that one. Turn 9, vitally important now for Garzo. A good run through here. He's super quick on a Moto2 machine through there. He gets tucked in behind Tooley. Surely he's going to have a look up the inside here. He just has a bit of a nosy, but no room this time around. He's got a long way to go. Shakes to the head from the speed-up squad, because I think they can see the fact that Jari Montoya just isn't able to match the pace of the two in front of them. They thought that they might have another podium up for grabs here after Montoya's work in race 1, but doesn't look to be going their way at the moment. Still a long way to go. He's still in contention. If these two do start to battle, then it will allow him to get re-involved in the fight for the podium. But meanwhile, it's been fairly sensible stuff, which is unlike what we've seen in Moto2 so far, with Tooley and Garzo battling it out. But here comes Garzo. Good look up the inside, but Tooley strong into turn 1 again. The number 4 just not able to get the better of Tooley on the brakes on a couple of occasions so far. Whether he's just applying the pressure, whether he's just letting him know that he's there. There's a long way to go, so he has got plenty of time just to sit in behind him, watch where he's good. He knows for a fact now that even if he does go past Tooley, he isn't going to be able to close in on Pons. Pons has gone. The race win is out of question for both of these two guys. The next best they can hope for is winning this battle for second place. So maybe Garzo is just quite happy sat in behind Tooley and watching him where he's good, seeing him where he's bad, trying to put a plan together as we get into the final laps. The same could be said for Jari Montoya. He's still there, he's still in contention, but whereas you see Garzo right on the rear wheel at every opportunity of Tooley, Montoya just looks to be trying his absolute hardest just to stay within a couple of tenths of the rear wheel of Hector Garzo. Yeah,
I was going to mention about Montoya. I think we jumped the gun a bit saying he might be struggling, because last lap he was 3/10 quicker than
oh, here he comes, here he comes.
He was 3/10 quicker than...
Oh, he's gone down and he's taken Garzo as well into turn 10. The front tucked and Hector Garzo, the unfortunate man to be in the way. Both of them sprint to the bikes to try pick it up. The podium's out of question now, but the mistake from Jari Montoya, who was saying he was just getting himself back involved in the podium fight. The front end washes from beneath him, and poor old Hector Garzo had absolutely nowhere to go. He gets dominoed by the number 55.
He's coming from miles back there, number 55. Obviously trail braking too hot. Oh, nothing Garzo can do there. Absolutely unlucky for the number 4 rider. What I was going to say was Montoya was nearly 3/10 quicker than Garzo on that lap, and yeah, he's just overdone it into turn 10, and both of them are out the race as Montoya rightly apologises to Garzo.
You can see the airbag's gone off as a result of that one. Rightly apologises the direction of Hector Garzo. That will be little comfort for him. He was on course for another podium finish. It would be his 3rd one back-to-back, but Unfortunately, that won't be the case now, and there is the lucky man to have escaped that one. Nicky Tooley now, what is he, 6 seconds up the road from Alessandro Zacconi. He is on course for another podium finish, his first one since the opening round at Estoril, and I don't think anyone would begrudge him that after the incident at Valencia 3 weeks ago. To see him back on the podium at the next available opportunity is absolutely tremendous to see. Still 7 laps to go though for Tooley, but at the moment he looks pretty good in second place. Meanwhile, Alessandro Zacconi actually took the second of the victories in Estoril. He hasn't tasted podium success since then, but he's another of the fortunate men to take advantage of the fact that both Montoya and Garza have crashed out of this one. But it will be a battle worth looking at, because last time around he was just a quarter of a second ahead of Tommaso Marcon, who himself is looking for another podium finish after getting on the box in Valencia. The two Italians look likely to battle all the way to the last lap.
Yeah, they do.
Third.
Yeah, Team Chiatti speed up, disaster for one of the riders, but it could be a podium for Tommaso Marcon, like you say, Jack. Just 0.2 split in Zacconi and the Italian in third and fourth. And yeah, like we say, as we look at the race leader, Ed Caponzi's got this race under control. Just over 5 seconds is advantage over Tooley, who likewise has P2 under control. Into the first corner we go. Let's try and have a look at, here we go, the battle for the final podium position as it is now after that crash between Garzo and Montoya at turn 10, and it's currently Zacconi who leads Marcon, the number 61, over number 10.
And those two will know that there's a podium up for grabs now. They'll have seen both of them on the deck as they went through turn 10, and then of course as they went down the start-finish straight there, they'll have seen the pit boards move from P6, P5 in Tommaso Marcon's case, or Alessandro Zacconi's case, up to P3. So suddenly there may have just been a boost of confidence to both of these guys, knowing that now there's a little bit of silverware up for grabs. Both first and second look comfortable, with Pons 5.5 seconds clear of Tooley, who himself is 6.5 seconds clear of this battle for third. So understandably, this is where our attention will focus in the final 5.5 laps of the European Moto2 race here in Barcelona. In terms of the championship, well, a DNF for Hector Garzo will mean that Edgar Pons can now move 33 points clear of Tooley at this early stage, but there's a couple of rounds left just yet. We're not even at the halfway stage, so don't count off anything just yet.
Yeah, and like, who's this down? Sarmoon.
What
disaster.
a shame for Anapab Sarmoon after a brilliant race one where he got a top 5 finish for the first time in his career. Unfortunately, he's crashed out. And this will be interesting. A penalty towards that man there.
Seat.
Wow. Alessandro Zacconi been handed a 1.2 second penalty for, yep, you guessed it, an incident at turn 1 and 2 where he had to go straight on. We saw that in the back of the picture. Surely, that is not the incident where he picked it up and ended up 5 seconds in a rear, because how on earth can he then get a penalty for 1.2 seconds, having cost himself 5 seconds? But it looks to be the case. Hopefully it wasn't that incident and he's done it a second time, because that surely would fall down as a double penalty. But yeah, as things stand, Tommaso Marcon will be third place despite coming across the line in fourth. But Zacconi is starting to pull the pin now. He's 0.3 seconds clear of his compatriot. He needs to pull out another 0.9 if he wants to pick up a podium finish.
Oh yeah, this is it now for Zacconi. He might not know it yet, but he's got that 1.258 second penalty, so he needs to bridge the gap to Tommaso Marcon in fourth place. And these two have both tasted the podium this year. Tommaso Marcon in Valencia and Zacconi in the first race of the year, Estoril, where he won his first European Moto2 European Championship race. And this means more than just the race. Like we saw with the championship standings, these two are pretty close together in third and fourth. So if Zacconi can manage to eke out that gap to over 1.2 seconds, he'll maintain his lead over the number 10 in the standings, but easier said than done.
Certainly is. He's really got to try hard now. He's got 4.5 laps for him to do it. Sorry, 5 laps, because meanwhile we're losing track of the fact that Edgar Pons has already gone across the start-finish. Is this the incident? No, this was the big moment for Alessandro Zacconi on the exit of turn 13. He didn't bother him too much though. He spat him from left to right, but he got straight back down behind the bubble and flicked it right into turn 14. As he comes across the line then, he needs to eke out 1.2 seconds. It is 0.4 of a second. That's the Daniel Kazmiedin, who's gone down on the podium at the first round of the year, or should have been on the podium at the first round of the year in Estoril if he hadn't have crashed out of contention in the wet conditions. He's had another off here at turn 10, but it looks to have been a fairly light one, so he's picked it back up and rejoined has the number 27, the Malaysian rider. Yeah,
Marcon sticking with Zacconi. He's not letting him get away. He knows, well, he might not know about Zacconi's podium, not podium, 1.2 second penalty is the number 61. Oh, that's just confirmation of Zacconi's penalty at the bottom of your screen there. Yeah, Marcon might not know about Zacconi's podium, so he's going to be pushing his might to get past his fellow Italian, but we'll wait and see if he can do that. But Zacconi needs that 1.2 second advantage, and it doesn't look like he's going to get it at the minute with 4 laps to go.
And again, I stress, surely that cannot have been for that incident at turn 1 and 2 that we saw in the back of our picture. He lost almost 5 seconds. He was in contention for the podium, made a mistake, and quite rightly, he had to pick it up and go across turns 1 and 2. It was an unforced error by himself, but if he had tried to make it and hold on, he'd have just took the front. He had to pick it up, he had to shortcut it, but as a result, he slowed off and lost almost 4 or 5 seconds. So that's his penalty right there. He's cost himself as a result of making the mistake. Surely you then can't penalise him again.
Yeah, it must be something we've not seen on camera, but he is still in contention with Marcon, so that sort of makes me believe that it was that error that has led to the penalty, but we'll wait and find out after the race. See, as we see our race leader, 3 laps to go now. He's got this under control, hasn't he? No, nothing silly. He'll know 7.7 advantage. You'll see it on his pit board. He can cruise around for the last 3 laps. Edgar Pons.
7.5 seconds clear. We thought that race 1 was a high-speed demonstration from the 23-year-old. Well, this is definitely how to go fast on a Moto2 bike around Barcelona. Everybody is getting a real treat trackside to be able to witness the speeds and the pace of Edgar Pons at the moment. Nicky Tooley, meanwhile, is a good performance from him to get back onto the podium, and this is the battle for 3rd place. It should have raged on up to the final corner, but the fact that that man, the 61, who currently leads the battle, has a 1.2 second penalty to his name, as long as Tommaso Marcon stays within touching distance, it will be him that takes 3rd place, not the number 61. But as you've rightly mentioned, Elliot, is he aware of that? Again, unless we can see the pit board across the line, unless they put the P3 on and show that he's 1.2 seconds clear of him, he's then got to try and work out what that means as he goes into turn 1.
Yeah, and of course Marcon is obviously going to want to beat Zacconi in a one-on-one battle, so he's going to want to take that podium on merit and not because Zacconi's had a penalty. So, like we're seeing, he's going to try his hardest to get past the number 61 rider, but if not, the penalty is going to mean Marcon gets a podium, so he doesn't have to push too hard, but yeah, he's going to want to win it on merit and not just because of the penalty for Zacconi. As yellow flags
wave at turn 7, which is not where the leaders are, so it won't be either Edgar Pons or Nicky Tooley. Meanwhile, at the front of this race, Zacconi is now just starting to edge ever so slightly clear. He's only got 2 laps left to eke out 1.2 seconds, but we'll watch them across the line just to see what it is. It's not out of the realms of possibility at the moment. He's half a second clear as they come across the line. He's going to have to dig deep if he wants to try and eke out another 0.7 of a second and pick up a second podium of the year, and getting as sideways as that into turn 1 won't help him, but if anything, he was more online than Tommaso Marcon through there. Meanwhile, this is the man looking to jump up into the top 5, and what a ride it would have been by him. Andy Gilang, first time out on a Moto2 in his career, and he's already jumping up into the top 5. He's been focusing on the Asia Road Racing Supersport Championship during the opening part of the 2019 season, but straight onto a Moto2, and he is fast into the top 5 straight away. Great ride from him, and now we're focusing on the battle for 6th place between Marcel Brenner and Mikel Pons. Number 25 is Marcel Brenner, the Swiss rider, whereas the man behind him, the number 77, is the Spaniard Mikel Pons.
Yeah, Mikel Pons 8th in the championship with 24 points as of race 1, so yeah, he got a 4th in Estoril, good result for him. DNF in Valencia and 5th, so he's doing well in the championship, and every point matters, as is with every championship, so he'll be wanting to get by the number 25 of Brenner, which he looks like he's about to do, getting it sideways, back in goal. Mikel, the number 77, gets it sorted. Nice move from the Spaniard.
And here comes Edgar Pons to start his last lap. It's been 16 laps of absolute perfection from Edgar Pons, and surely now we can make that 17. He's on to his final lap here in Barcelona, nearly 10 seconds clear of Nicky Tully. What a ride from this man. He's going to extend his championship lead. He's going to make it 3 wins on the bounce. He's going to make it 100% perfection when it comes to being on the podium so far this season. We can continue because Edgar Pons has just been that good this weekend.
Yeah, he really has. And just to note, I think it was Mateus Megel who was the rider who crashed out earlier in the race that we saw. We didn't quite catch who it was. So yeah, he was started on 10th and he was running well inside the point. So unlucky for the number 21. But yes, Edgar Pons, well, it's going to be a perfect weekend for him. Pole, race 1 victory, and hopefully if he can keep it all together, which I think he might do, yeah, race 2 victory as well, and he's going to extend his championship lead. So a cracking weekend for the number 57 rider.
Half a lap to go for the 23-year-old. He's flicked it left and right through turn 7 and 8. Now into turn 9. He's got a back marker in front of him. Not that it will bother him. On the run down the back straight for the final time. As you rightly say, Elliot, the perfect weekend for him. If he wanted to go out and stamp your mark, stamp your authority on a championship, this is how to do it. He was fairly settled and comfortable in Estoril with 2 podium finishes. It was a disaster for him, and that's probably where he lost the championship last year with 2 DNFs at the opening round. But since then, he has kicked on, and boy, how has he. 3 wins on the bounce it will be for the number 57 of Edgar Pons. The perfect weekend for him, the clean sweep, 2 race wins, 2 fastest laps, pole position. Edgar Pons makes it look easy in Barcelona. What a ride. And here comes Nicky Tully as well, back onto the podium for the Finn after the horror of Valencia all those weeks ago. No one, as we said earlier, will begrudge him getting back onto the podium at the next available opportunity after what went down at Valencia. Superb to see the Finn back on the box. And although Alessandro Zacconi takes the checkered flag in 3rd place, the 1.2 second penalty will be applied to him, and he will shuffle down to 4th place, and Tommaso Marcon aboard the Team Chiatti speed-up machine will take the final podium position to at least bring some smiles to the speed-up squad, after Yarit Montoya crashed out, taking Hector Garzo with him earlier in the race. So there is Nicky Tully, another podium for him. Makes it 3 out of 5 in the opening rounds of the season. He stays in touch with Edgar Pons, 2nd in the championship. There's not a lot he could have done today, though. Pons just in a league of his own. And there is the number 10 of Tommaso Marcon. He's storming back to pit lane because I think he possibly feels that he might have finished in 4th place. Disappointed to have lost out to Zacconi. We'll have to see the number 61 just to see if he is celebrating at all, which obviously will be disappointing because he'll have to be turned away at Parc Ferme. Yeah, fist pump from 61. He does flash up as Alessandro Zacconi is finishing in 3rd place, but that's not the case because across the line he was only 82 thousandths of a second clear of Tommaso Marcon. Alessandro Zacconi won't finish in 3rd, he will finish in 4th place, and I wouldn't want to be the man to tell him that. Those places are on the bottom of your screen. Haven't implemented the 1.2 second penalty just yet, so you can reverse both Zacconi and Marcon. But one thing is for sure, that man has cleaned up here in Barcelona. A double win for Edgar Pons. In the end, 9.2 seconds clear. He was the only man to get into the 48s. A real pace that nobody could live with. Here comes Tommaso Marcon. And he's going to go straight down Parc Ferme, but then someone's going to wave him in to say, no, actually, mate, you've jumped onto the box. So despite coming across the line in 4th place, he will take the final podium spot at the expense of Alessandro Zacconi, who I'm sure may be quite disappointed. We'll have to speak to him in the post-race analysis once we go off air, just to find out exactly what happened. And there he is getting waved down arms outstretched, asking what on earth has happened. I've come across the line in third. Why have I been given a penalty? As I said earlier, I would not want to be the man to tell him that, because if it is that incident that we saw in the back of our pictures during the opening stages of the race, then he has been so hard done by. But there is the number 57, Edgar Pons, back onto top spot. And Zacconi bemoans the decision, unsurprisingly, absolutely distraught at the fact that he had come across the line in third and should really have been taking another podium finish, but that's not the case. Fourth he will have to settle for, and he'll have to stew over for the next month until we get to Aragon, where he can start to right those wrongs. And how good is that to see as well? The number 18 of Nicky Tooley back into Parc Fermé, back onto the podium. I think everybody's thoughts and well wishes went his direction after the horrific incident at Valencia. Tremendous and almost miraculous for him to be back on a bike as soon as he is here at the following round, but even more so to be back fighting fit and onto the podium again. Superb to see. But for the second time today, Edgar Pons makes his way over towards Elliott York. We'll be hearing from the double race winner here in Barcelona shortly to get his thoughts on a perfect weekend. Edgar Pons now, your race winner at the final race here in Barcelona.
Edgar, the perfect weekend for you and your team. Pole position, race 1 win, race 2 win. Just sum it up for us.
Yeah, really happy, no? Really happy. It's been tough years, the last ones. So I'm really pleased. No, we were making really good job. I've been training also, doing good job and making these results. It's like really motivates me to continue, no? And I'm very pleased with the team. We are making a fantastic job in the bike on the setting, and was good, no? It was a hard race because it was hotter and it was a bit tougher, but it was, I had it clear, no? I had to push from the beginning and it went good, no? So I'm really happy.
And in Spanish.
Sí, estoy muy contento, ¿no? Han sido unos años un poco complicados y la verdad es que cuando haces estos resultados, pues la motivación aún crece más, ¿no? Para seguir creyendo y seguir trabajando, así que contento, ¿no? La verdad es que ha sido un fin de semana muy bueno. Y esta carrera pues ha sido más dura, ¿no? Que la anterior, porque era más calor, había más vueltas, los neumáticos son blandos, ¿no? Y con este circuito al final ya estaban bastante destrozados y era complicado, pero bueno, muy contento. Quiero dedicarle esta victoria a todo el equipo y toda la gente que está detrás mío, así que gracias.
Gracias.
And understandably delighted Edgar Pons after another race win, and this is how it happened. It was lights to flag in the end for the number 57 from pole position, one of the best starts I've seen for quite some time. An absolute rocket from pole position. Nobody could get near him off the start, and quite frankly nobody could get near him after that as well. Lap after lap he pulled further and further clear, despite the best efforts of Jari Montoya and Nicky Tooley during the opening laps of the race. Hector Garza had to come through from second on the grid and was making fine progress despite a bit of a coming together with Nicky Tooley. He would eventually battle back up to fourth at this point and then would make a move on Jari Montoya to take third place. But then a couple of incidents, including Danny Valle, saw him crash out. The two podium men in Nicky Tooley and Hector Garza would continue to fight in second and third place. Montoya would get back into the fight before tucking the front at turn 10 and taking Hector Garza with him, making it an easy run to second place for this man, Nicky Tooley. Now 8 seconds clear of a battle behind for third place, including these two, Tommaso Marcon and the number 10, or the number 61, should I say, of Alessandro Zacconi. A penalty for Zacconi would hand the final podium place to Marcon, but it's all about this man, the perfect weekend. Pole position, 2 fastest laps, 2 race wins. What else can you say than utter perfection, utter brilliance from Edgar Pons? So here is confirmation of the results, with Edgar Pons taking his third win of the season, 9.2 seconds clear in the end of Nicky Tooley. A comfortable third place for the FIM, 5 seconds clear of Tommaso Marcon, who takes full advantage of a 1.2 second penalty for Alessandro Zacconi, who shuffles back from third to fourth. Great ride on his Moto2 debut for Andy Gillang, as it is for Marcel Brenner, who just got the better of Mikel Pons in that battle for 6th place. Adam Norridin and Matteo Ciprietti managed to find themselves inside the top 10, as does Jerry Salim, fresh from an outing on a Moto3 machine at Mugello, back onto the Moto2 and back into the top 10. Kevin Kubo there in 13th. A good ride for the Mastercamp rider, with unfortunately his teammate Anapab Samu not able to back up his top 5 finish in the opening race of the day. The final points going to Takeshi Ishizuka, with Daniel Bin Kazmiuddin taking 17th after remounting, and Alessandro Zetti there, he's the first of the Stock 600 machines, so it's a double victory for the Italian in the European Stock 600 class. As it is, a double victory for Edgar Pons, back on top of the box for the 2nd time today. And we'll wait for the podium presentation. First going the way of the AGR team. Mr. Jean-Marc Desnoux, Vice President of FIM Europe, hands the team award to the AGR squad. Then a European Stock 600 Race Winners Trophy going the way of Alessandro Zetti for the 2nd time today. Third place going the way of Tommaso Marcon, the 2nd time this season that he's managed to get onto the box. Speed Up Chiatti enjoying podium success once again after Jari Montea's podium in the opening race of the day. 2nd place for Nicky Tooley, back onto the podium after 4th in the opening race of the day. But it's D for double for that man Edgar Pons. Victory once again in his home round here in Barcelona, and he'll get to enjoy the Spanish national anthem once again. Once he gets the Repsol check, of course. He's a little bit early on that one. There he is, another 500 quid in his back pocket. Now a grand's worth of fuel for him to get from here to the city centre in Barcelona. Third time this season Edgar Pons has sat back and enjoyed his own national anthem, and the 2nd time today that he's had that joy as well. He sprays the champagne, the final race of the day here in the Circuit Barcelona-Catalunya, and what a day we have had as well. A double for Edgar Pons, superb performance from him, but we've had 2 absolutely belting Junior World Championship races and a superb European Talent Cup race as well. Just to confirm the championship standings before we head on to Aragon in a month's time, Pons now 33 points clear of Nicky Tooley, with Tommaso Marcon 52 points adrift, Sacconi 54, and Hector Garzo probably the biggest man to lose out with that DNF in the race, seeing him shuffle back to 5th in the championship table. But it certainly is advantage to Edgar Pons at this early stage. He's been quite impressive during the opening 3 rounds of the season for the Moto2 guys. Further down the field, and you can see the likes of Matteo Ferrari, who wasn't here this weekend, still holds on to a top 10 in the championship. Jerry Salim jumps up into the top 15 with a point scoring finish in that last one. And then further down, the final point scorers, the likes of Kevin Kubo, another good ride from him today. Chandler Cooper, the Australian, unable to add any points to his tally today. And Sam Wilford, the Brit, who was with us for the opening round of the year, a wild card at Estoril, before he got himself ready for the British Supersport Championship. And the first point of the year, worth pointing out, for Takeshi Ishizuka. 15th place in that final race sees him get onto the championship ladder. So we'll be back in a month's time, the 14th of July, as you can see. What an event we'll have at the Motorland Aragon. Just the 1 Junior World Championship race, but 2 Moto2 clashes and 2 European Talent Cup races as well. Not to be missed, that one, the weekend after Sachsenring. And obviously we've got quite a bit of racing coming your way as well. We're back here at Catalunya for the Catalan Grand Prix, but it's goodbye from myself, Jack Appleyard, and Elliot York as well from the Circuit Barcelona-Catalunya. We'll see you in Aragon.